What up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. Look, man, I wanted to do this last night, but I got sidetracked, so I'll do it today, man. I don't know how many of y'all checked out the fight last night, and I want to say I was really entertained by it. I can't speak for none of y'all, but I enjoyed every minute of it, even the undercards. I enjoyed it because sometimes when there is a great anticipation for something, when you really looking forward to something, man, it's like this the build up. More times than not, it's gonna be a disappointment and a letdown. It's not gonna live up to the hype. And am I saying that this fight last night was the thrill in Manila? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that we saw vintage Mike Tyson and vintage Roy Jones last night? No, I'm not saying that. So don't misunderstand my point, because if that's what you're thinking, then you totally missing where I'm coming from. I'm speaking about just the spirit that these two guys had to come in at 50 plus each one of them 50 plus, and come in and give everybody a show that, if you really are honest, well, just in my opinion, I can't speak to nobody's opinion, but in my opinion, what I witnessed last night to me was better than some of the current fighters. It was more entertaining than some of the current fighters that I've saw in the last 2 or 3 years or so. Because those events have not lived up to the hype. It's like, psh, man, I waited for this. But I think that speaks to the greatness of two, legendary boxers. It's like you got Roy Jones Jr., who is a certified all-time great and a legend, and you have Mike Tyson, who is a certified all-time great and a legend, and in their own lanes, in their primes, they both brought electricity to the ring, even though they were in different weight classes for the most part of their careers. Roy was in a whole different, in a lighter weight class, and he came up to heavyweight, towards the end. But they both brought electricity. They both brought that aura and that excitement. So even at 51 and 54, they still carry that. They still have that presence about themselves. So when you put them both in the ring, that energy, to me, that energy was still there. And even though it was an exhibition, even though people say, well, Mike was holding back, pulling punches, and whatever you can say, Roy Jones rose to the occasion and showed those flashes of and fought his style. Mike Tyson came out and fought his style, and we all know the saying that styles make fights. And again, we know it's an exhibition, but it was far more entertaining than some of this other stuff that I've been seeing recently by the current fighters. Had some action on the undercard. Hated to see my boy Nate just go out like that. But you got to give credit to Jake Paul, because he has been training, he's been working and getting his thing together, man, and really taking the craft seriously. And he knew how to literally box Nate. And Nate just kept coming. Nate kept lunging in and lunging in and lunging in. And, you know, even a fighter who is not as skilled but has some kind of training, like a Jake Paul, he's going to catch you. You keep doing that. You keep doing the same thing. And Nate, man, yeah, Nate. But much love to Nate for getting up in there and taking the challenge. But Jake Paul was the better man without question. But to me, the highlight of the night, was my boy Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, in my opinion, man, he should get, his phone should have been blowing up this morning. he should be getting contract offers to do every major fight that comes along in the future, because his commentary, to me, and I know what y'all thinking, oh man, you have to be more professional. You have, man, his commentary was hilarious to me last night, because he called the fight the way we watched the fight when we at home. That's how we watched the fight when we at home. We with our partners. Like, come on, man, hit him. That's how we do. And he just brought that to the set, to the broadcasting set, when everybody else was just trying to be so distinguished and so professional, and that's fine, because you got legends like Sugar Ray Leonard up there, and uh, the other brother, Israel Adesanya, was up there, and they did a great job. Of course, Sugar Ray been doing fights for decades, even while he was fighting. But Snoop just brought that element that I like to see. I don't care who don't like to see it. He just brought that element because it made you feel like when your homeboy would order the fight at his house and everybody would come over there and we all in there arguing and talking crazy and talking and while the fight is going on. So to me, man, between Roy Jones, Mike Tyson, and Snoop, it made for a real good event, as well as some of the other fights that were on the card, because there were a lot of there were a couple of other good fights that were on that card too. So, you know, don't ever feel as though age is something that should hinder you from pursuing whatever it is you're trying to pursue. And even though these guys have already reached the pinnacle of success in their sport, and Mike had been gone 15 years, and Roy had been gone almost 3, the love and the passion that they have for the game made them say, you know what, let's do it again. And the platform was created to do it again. Do it. See, you got to pull lessons out of this, because people will say, well, man, this is just entertainment. Yeah, it's entertainment, but we have to see principles in everything that we do and everything that we see and watch. And the principles in that fight, what I took out of that fight was like, look, man, it's never too late for you to act on your goal and your mission. People have tried to do things like go to school, and then circumstances may have made them had to drop out of school, drop out of college, or whatever the case may be. And then you see people that are 35, 40 years old, or older sometimes, go back to school, get a degree, whatever the case is, whatever they were striving to do, because something was sitting inside of them that made them feel like, man, something is missing. I didn't accomplish what I set out to accomplish. And anybody who is worth their salt as a man or a woman, when you set out to accomplish a goal and you don't reach the goal for whatever reason, you feel a void there. Now, if you just this bum, this lazy person who always quitting and giving up and all this crap, then you're not gonna feel no kind of way. But use what you saw last night, if you watched the fight, as motivation. As motivation to go out and do whatever it is that you want to do, because you can still do it. Because when you think about boxing, bro, they didn't just set a date months ago and then show up the night of the fight and start boxing. They had to actually start the training process over again. And as you get older, man, look, bro, your body just, it doesn't respond the way it did when you was 21, 22 years old, where you can just pop out the bed and hit the ground running. You can't do that. You can't do that in your mid 30s sometimes. So imagine being 50 plus, and boxing is probably, I ain't gonna say probably, boxing is the toughest form of training. Boxing training is tougher than basketball. Um, Football may be close, but I still would say that boxing training is the toughest at any age. So they had to go through a training regimen that was strenuous, man, just to get to the point they got to last night. So I commend both of them. I enjoyed the fight. Hope y'all did too. Hope y'all extracted the principles out of it, out of what you saw. And leave your comments down below, man. It's your big brother K-Rino. Peace.